Hello, good day, everyone. The topic that I am about to discuss today is about the assessing listening. Let's start. Okay, to begin with, let's discuss first the importance of listening. The first one, listening is often undervalued compared to speaking, despite its crucial role in language acquisition. Traditionally, speaking has been prioritized in language assessment. However, listening comprehension is fundamental to language learning. A strong listener can better understand and process information, leading to improved speaking, reading, and writing skills. The ability to listen effectively is often overlooked despite its significant impact on overall language proficiency. Okay, let's move on to the second one. It says here that standardized listening tests are rare, possibly due to the perceived inclusion of listening in speaking tests and the easier measurability of speaking. Standardized tests often focus on easily measurable skills, like spoken responses. Assessing listening requires more sophisticated techniques, right? So the assumption that the speaking implicitly assess listening contributes to the lack of dedicated listening tasks. Speaking is more directly observable, making it easier to score objectively. Okay, the next one, it states here that oral production relies heavily on listening comprehension. Effective speaking depends on the ability to understand what others are saying. Without the strong listening skills, a speaker struggles to participate in conversations, respond appropriately, and construct coherent sentences. Listening provides the context and input necessary for fluent and accurate speech. Okay, let's proceed. Daily listening far exceeds speaking in terms of time and volume. In most daily activities, individuals spend considerably more time listening than speaking. This highlights the importance of effective listening skills for navigating everyday life. Prioritizing speaking over listening in assessment doesn't reflect the reality of language use. And the last one is classroom assessment should prioritize listening skills. Given the importance of listening in language learning and daily life, classroom assessments must include a strong emphasis on listening comprehension. Teachers should utilize varied and engaging learning activities to effectively assess students' abilities and provide targeted feedback. And moving on, we also have here the types of listening performance. These four categories describe different types of listening comprehension, each with unique focus and purpose. The first one, we have the intensive listening. The second, responsive listening. The third one, selective listening. And the last and the fourth one, extensive listening. Okay, let's have first the intensive listening. This focuses on the microscopic details of spoken language. The listener analyzes the individual components of speech, the phonemes or individual sounds, words, intonation patterns like rise and fall of the voice, and discourse markers or words or phrases that signal relationships between ideas, such as however, therefore, or in addition. The goal is to understand how these elements work together to create meaning. Think of it like dissecting a sentence to understand its grammatical structure and pronunciation nuances. Assessment might involve identifying specific sounds, recognizing stressed syllables, or analyzing intonation to determine the speaker's emotion. And the second one is responsive listening. This involves listening to short piece of speech, like question, command, or greeting, and providing a similarly brief response. It tests the listener's ability to quickly process information and formulate an immediate reaction. This type of listening focuses on immediate comprehension and interaction. Assessment tasks might involve responding to simple questions, following instructions, or participating in short exchanges. And the third one, it is the selective listening. This is about extracting specific information from a longer piece of speech. The listener doesn't need to understand everything. The goal is to locate and comprehend particular details. This is like searching for keywords in a text. Assessment might involve listening to a news report and identifying the key facts, listening to directions and following them on a map, or listening to a lecture and identifying the main points. The focus is on targeted comprehension, not necessarily a holistic understanding. And the last one, it is the extensive listening. This involves comprehending the macroscopic meaning of a longer piece of spoken language, such as lecture, story, or conversation. The focus is on grasping the overall message of main idea, making inferences, and understanding the speaker's purpose. It's about getting the gist of the communication. Assessment might involve summarizing a story, explaining the main theme of a lecture, or identifying the speaker's attitude or opinion. This type of listening emphasizes top down processing and overall comprehension. Okay, moving on, we also have here the aspects of listening comprehension. And the first one is clustering. Second, redundancy. Third, reduced forms. The fourth one, performance variables. The fifth, it's colloquial language. The sixth, rate of delivery. The seventh, stress, rhythm, and intonation. And the eighth, or the last one, it's interaction. At this point, let's explain each of those. Okay, the first one, clustering. It means processing language in meaningful units, like phrases or clauses, rather than individual words. Effective listeners don't process language word by word. Instead, they group words into meaningful chunks, like phrases, clauses, or even entire sentences. This allows for faster and more efficient comprehension, as the brain processes larger units of meaning rather than individual lexical items. For example, instead of processing the big red ball as three separate words, a skilled listener would perceive it as a single unit referring to a specific object. Okay, and the next one is redundancy. It is utilizing repetitions and rephrasing in spoken language to aid comprehension. So it means that spoken language, especially in formal conversation, often contains repetitions and rephrasing and elaborations. These repetitions aren't errors. They are considered as strategies speakers use to clarify their meaning or ensure comprehension. If a speaker says the meeting is at 3, yes, 3 o'clock, the repetition helps solidify the time. Okay, let's proceed to the number 3, which is the reduced forms. It means understanding informal and contracted forms of speech, not typically found in formal textbooks. So, in explanation, natural speech is full of contractions like can't, won't, and also elisions, omitting sounds like gonna for going to, and weak forms, unstressed words with altered pronunciations. Learners accustomed only to formal textbooks or textbook language may struggle with these reduced forms. Understanding these forms is crucial for fluent comprehension or natural speech. And the fourth one is performance variables. Ignoring hesitations, false starts, and corrections in natural speech to focus on the core message. So it means that native speakers often use fillers like uh, false starts or beginning a sentence and restarting, and also self corrections in conversations. These are natural occurrences and don't necessarily indicate a lack of fluency or understanding. As skilled listeners learn to filter out these performance variables and focus on the main message. Moving on to the fifth one, we have the colloquial language, comprehending informal language, including idioms and slang. Informal settings employ idioms or expressions with figurative meanings, like raining cats and dogs, and also slang or informal words or phrases, and other forms of colloquial language not typically found in formal writing. Understanding this informal register is essential for navigating real world conversations. Okay, let's proceed now to the sixth one, which is the rate of delivery. Keeping pace with the speaker's speed and processing information efficiently. So, this means that the speakers vary their pace. Some speak quickly, others more slowly. Effective listening requires the ability to keep up with the speaker's rate of delivery and process information efficiently without getting overwhelmed. This involves automatic processing of information rather than conscious word by word decoding. And the seventh one is stress, rhythm, and intonation. Understanding how stress, rhythm, and intonation convey meaning in the spoken language. So, these prosodic features or suprasegmental aspects of speech are crucial for conveying meaning. Stress patterns emphasize certain words, rhythm creates flow in intonation, changes in speech, conveys emotion and attitude. Understanding this feature is often more challenging than understanding individual sounds, yet they are vital for accurate comprehension. And the last one is interaction. Successfully navigating the back and forth flow of conversation. So, what does it mean? Listening is rarely a passive activity. Effective listening involves active participation in the conversational flow. This includes understanding turn taking, responding appropriately, asking clarifying questions, and using nonverbal cues to show engagement. It is a dynamic process, not just passive reception of information. At this point, let's start with the designing assessment task for intensive listening. The number one, we have the phonemic pair for consonants. Okay, the goal of this test is to test the ability to distinguish between similar sounding consonants. Okay, like for this activity, the test takers hears he's from California. So the options are they choose between his and she's. The difference lies in the initial consonant sound, which is voiceless, and sh, and this is voiceless too. This is a minimal pair because changing one phoneme alters the meaning. Number two is phonemic pair for vowels. The goal of this activity is to test the ability to distinguish between similar sounding vowels. Like for this activity, the test taker hears, is he living? Options. They choose between is he living and is he living? The difference lies in the vowel sounds in living and leaving. Again, this is also a minimal pair. And the number three is morphological pair, ed or ed ending. The goal is to test the understanding of the past tense marker id or ed. Oh. For this activity, the test taker hears I missed you very much. And the options are they choose between I missed, which is the correct past tense, and I miss, the present tense. This tests morphological awareness, the understanding of how word forms change to convey tense. And the number four is stress patterns in Kant. The goal is to assess the understanding of stress and reduced forms in spoken English. Like for this activity, the test taker hears, my girlfriend can't go to the party. The options are they choose between the correctly stressed can't or can't and the version where can't is placed or replaced with can, removing the contraction and altering the meaning. This tests the ability to recognize and understand the pronunciation of contracted forms and the stress patterns in spoken English. And the other assessment task that is under with the intensive listening is one word stimulus. This is a basic test of auditory discrimination. It assesses whether the test taker can distinguish between similar sounding words. Like, for example, the test taker hears the word vine. They choose between vine, which is the correct one, and wine. The difference is minimal sound change affecting meaning, and this tests phonetic awareness. And the other one is sentence paraphrase. Well, the goal of this test comprehension of a complete sentence and the ability to identify its meaning in a different phrasing or paraphrasing. So, like for this activity, the test taker hears, "Hello, my name's Kiko. I come from Japan." The options are four phrases or four paraphrases are provided, only one of which accurately reflects the original sentence's meaning. Kiko is Japanese. Incorrect options show misunderstanding of the sentence meaning or the idiom come from. And the next one is the dialogue paraphrase. This tests comprehension of a short conversation and the ability to understand implied meaning and cultural context. Like for this activity, a short conversation introduces George, who states he's a Canadian. So the options are the test taker must choose the paraphrase that accurately respects George's nationality, which is George comes from Canada. The other options represent misunderstanding of the dialogue. This tests not only listening comprehension, but also cultural understanding of nationality indicators. And now let's tackle on the other assessment task that is under with responsive listening. Okay, the number one is appropriate response to a question. So the goal, this example assesses the ability to provide an appropriate answer to a WH question or a question starting with how, what, where, and etc. Specifically, it targets understanding of the question how much time. So like for example, the what flash on the screen, the test taker hears the question, how much time did you take to do your homework? Options. Four response options are given. Only A and B are correct, providing appropriate answers regarding the amount of time. So the letter C is a distractor, confusing the concept of time with money. And the letter D is a distractor, answering a simple yes or no response instead of providing the requested time information. This tests understanding of the question type and an appropriate response format. Okay, the second one is open-ended response to a question. Okay, this illustrates an alternative assessment approach using an open-ended response format. It aims to provide a more authentic and creative assessment, allowing for more natural language use. Okay, for example, how much time did you take to do your homework? Okay, the response, the test taker writes or speaks their answer. This format allows for a wider range of responses, but requires more subjective evaluation from the teacher or judging appropriateness. Okay, let's describe the comparison of multiple choice and open-ended formats. The text concludes by comparing the advantages and disadvantages of each format. Multiple choice questions are easier to score, but might lack authenticity and creativity. Open-ended responses offer greater authenticity and creativity, but require more time and subjective judgment for scoring. The choice the choice between this format depends on the assessment goals and the resources available for scoring. And lastly, let's discuss the assessment task under the selective listening. Number one, we have the repetition. The task involves simply repeating a sentence or parts of a sentence that has been presented orally. This is similar to dictation. But instead of writing, the test taker repeats the sentence aloud. The main issue is that errors in sentence repetition may stem from problems with number one, listening comprehension. The test taker might not understand the sentence. The second one, the oral production. The test taker might understand the sentence but have difficulty producing it accurately, for example, due to pronunciation issues or memory limitations. And the next one is dictation. The dictation procedure is that the dictation involves three reading of a passage. The first one is the first reading, natural speed, no pauses. Test takers listen to get a general understanding of the passage or the gist. On the second reading, it is slowed speed, pauses at each break, and the test takers write down what they hear. The pauses help them to process and record the information accurately. But in the third reading, it is in natural speed again. Test or test takers check their written work against the audio. And lastly, we have the retelling. Test takers listen to an audio recording, for example, a story or a news report. Then they either orally or in writing retell or summarize what they heard. A successful retelling demonstrates a full comprehension. And the question is, what does it measure? To show full comprehension, the retelling must include key elements such as the gist, or the overall main idea of the story or event, and also the main idea, the central point of the narrative, and as well as the purpose, the reason behind the story or an event, and as well as the supporting points, the details that support the main idea. And lastly, the conclusion, the ending or resolution of the narrative. And that ends my report about assessing listening. So have a good day ahead. Thank you and God bless us all.